Yes, guys, you know terrorists. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspot, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, the world's biggest Harry Kane fan. And today we are building up to the big game today as Antonio Conte's side welcome Eddie Howe's men to N17 with three crucial points on offer at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And to help us get through to game time and to help us analyse everything going into the game, we are, of course, joined by co-host Jack Kanicki and look, may as well call him second co-host Shawnee. Jack, how are you keeping, my man?
Dave, I thought I was doing pretty good for this one, except you guys then started, on the back end, kind of giving us, kind of some info on Newcastle, talking about, the impact of international break and everything. I'm going to be surprised to see how you turn this around, Dave, because normally, what you were saying about, this game is not normally coming from the pre-match build-up king. It was a bit of, some hesitancy, coming from the guy. So we'll see, how he turns this around, but doing well, Dave.
No, look, I'm extremely nervous today. I just look at all the games yesterday. I know City Liverpool won, did not play great and weren't convincing. You look at Chelsea, got slapped. And a lot of the teams yesterday, I thought some of them looked very lethargic, a bit off the standards they were before the international break. And just looking at look, today is all about getting the win. That's all that matters. Performance doesn't really matter. You just need to get the win. But, Shawnee, how are you keeping, my man?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I had a good night's sleep last night. And it's the first time in 2 weeks that I can shout out, "It's game day!" Come on! I am excited. I am a little bit concerned with some of the news, to Jack's point, that's come out. Don't know how true it is, but usually the guy who says it is usually spot on. And if he's on the money, then I'm a little bit more worried than I would have been. We'll get to that, no doubt. But yeah, I'm good. I'm happy, man. I'm pumped. It's always a good day when I'm with you guys on game day. So excited.
Do you know what? I've been waiting to hear that for a while now. That game day, you just—it's the signal of what's to come later on. When you hear that, I absolutely love it. It's like the Big Ben. Do you know the way the Big Ben can sound off sometimes? That's right. I absolutely love it. But look, guys, as Sean says, it is the first time in 2 weeks, and from between now and the end of the season, match day at the Irish Hotspur returns to normal pre-match build-up and watch-alongs. But look, before we get into it, because we've a lot to discuss, I want to see what Irish Hotspur Army are in the building with us today. We've got Celery Agent. Big up, Celery. Good to see you in, my man. Moondog says, my dire bet is on. Come on, you Spurs. No doubt. No doubt whatsoever. And look, he scored no goal against Newcastle last time we played them. So, hopefully he can put one in the right end this time, Moondog.
Moondog's been waiting 2 weeks for it, Dave. He's been waiting 2 weeks for it, the poor man.
I think, by the way, he's putting on that bets. He's been waiting about 2 years for Dyer to do it, Jack. Mick Hermalock says 3-1 to Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. Good afternoon, lads. Big up, Mick. Good afternoon, my man. Mr. Brady, the Godfather's in the building. Today is a huge game. Win, and we really put the pressure on Woolwich. No, 100%, my man. Look, today is crucial. We got to win with Chelsea losing and Arsenal being a young, naive squad. You've got to ask different questions of them and put the pressure on them going into that Palace game. But big up, Philip. We have Wembley once this afternoon, boys. As if a Spurs game isn't impossible enough to predict, we have the added wild card of the return from the international break. It's not going to be easy, but I think we can edge it today. And look, today is just all about getting the results, putting the points on the board, my man. In fact, every game between now and the end of the season, I really couldn't give a shit how we perform. I just want the points on the board, and that's it, to be honest with you. Wembley won. But big yourself up. We have Pure Effing Vintage. What's up, lads? Well, Newcastle fans seem to think they're going to beat us today. Let's hope they're wrong. Come on, you Spurs. Yeah, I really do hope they are, to be honest with you, Mr. Vintage. Philip Brady says we're all waiting on 3 points today. That we are, my man. That we are. Dark Song G, it's good to see you in the building, brother. He says, come on, you Spurs. 4-0 win today. 2, Sonny with 1. 2 for Kulu and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg of Benchicor with 1. And Kane, 3 assists.
Kane, 3 assists. Wow.
I thought you had Kane down to score yesterday when he done this. Dark Sun G, am I wrong? Let me know. But Jack, do you agree with Dark Sun G here?
I mean, Kane, he was more of the creator, like we kind of detailed last night, Dave, and we saw it against West Ham. More of a creator, than maybe the lethal goal scorer. And Sonny, at least recently as well, Dave. I mean, he was absolutely clinical against West Ham. And maybe he's right, Dave. Maybe he's onto something. I'd like to see Kulu pop up with one, but I'm surprised, Dark Sun G. There's no, Reguillon, maybe goal. There's no Doherty goal. There's no Bentoncourt goal. Dark Sun G always wants to, mark those people off the list that have yet to really score a goal at home and whatnot, because the guy always knows which ones haven't. But big up, Dark Sun G.
Big up, Dark Sun G, my man. I hope you're keeping well. And again, brother, I really do appreciate the support, my man. It really does help us out with what we do here. So big yourself up. Wembley 1 says a mixture of excitement and terror, the usual Spurs pre-game mood, David. 100%, my man. We have Catman Jess. Big up the Harris Army and the Flat Cap Army. Big up, Catman Jess. I hope you're keeping well. Derek Hutchins says, good afternoon, gentlemen. 4-0 to Spurs. Let's put the Geordies back in their box. Come on, you Spurs. That's what I'm talking about, Derek. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it, my man. Kai Balik says, I woke up early just to catch the match build-up. I'm so pumped. Big up, Kai. That's commitment. Everyone else out there, no excuses. Be like Kai. That's what I say.
Setting the tone, Kai. I love it.
Big up. We have Dave Tyson says, come on, you Spurs. Big up, Davey. We have Fast Radfar. Big up, Harris Army. Can't wait for Harry's hat-trick today. Come on, you Spurs. I really hope so, Faz. I would absolutely love Harry getting a hat-trick today. I'm not even going to say what I was going to say, but I might go disappearing for a few hours after the game. I need time with myself in my hand if Harry Kane scores a hat-trick. Bouchard says,
Too much, Dave.
What I'm doing, Jack David Harris, all the way from Nepal. Love you all. Big up. No any Spursy moments, because I don't want to see any upsets here, please. We're all the same. We're all in the same boat. Sushal Busal and it's good to see you. Thanks for popping in, my man.
Sushant, what a fan as well, all the way in Nepal.
I love the name. Well, I love the name.
Beautiful name. Beautiful name. He's always in here for most of the streams as well, Dave. Yeah. Sushant, legend. Absolute legend.
Did you get good Wi-Fi in up Mount Everest, Sushant?
Maybe it's the cleanest. Maybe it's the cleanest of Wi-Fi. It's definitely the cleanest of air. I'll tell you that. But Sushant, absolute legend, and he's always in here as well. And he's also bigging up his buddy Debatum Duda as well. Absolutely, setting the tone as well, just like Kai, setting the tone. I love it.
Big up. On your bike, Scott says, big up, lads. 3-1 today. Come on. I'm loving the positivity on your bike, Scott. Daniel Larson says, hi, guys. Really looking forward to the game. Have a feeling Pierre will score. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, let's get one, Daniel. I'd love him to score one. I really would. I'd be all over Alex Davies. I would be.
You can get 20-1 on that if you want. Whoever said it. Whoever asked it. Whoever said he wanted Pierre. Daniel, 20-1 on Betfair right now for Pierre-Emile Højbjerg to score first.
You're tempting Shawnee, Daniel. You're tempting Shawnee.
All the Pierre fans are just hovering over the phone right now. Just can't decide.
I like that. I quite like that a lot, actually.
David Woodford says, hi, guys, on the train en route to the game. Come on, you Spurs. David, enjoy that game, my man. Make sure you go and have fun. And make sure you sing as loud as you possibly can. The boys need it. Look, nothing's changed from the West Ham game. We still need to create the atmosphere that was created at the West Ham game, David. So enjoy the game, brother. Absolute Bore says, who's the ref? Couple of minutes and you'll find out, my man. Scott Hynam says, big up, lads. May the 4th be with us. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Scott. I hope you're keeping well. Kelly JTV says 3 points is absolutely vital. No, it's absolutely crucial to our season, my man. Mary W says, big yourselves up. Let's go fast start required. Do you know what, Mary? I do think I've noticed a bit of a pattern against some of the smaller teams. We do allow them to have the ball for the first few minutes to try and take it off them and catch on the counter. So I wouldn't be alarmed if Newcastle have the ball for the first couple of minutes. Dark Song G says, Man United are equals with us. If we win, we are 3 points ahead. No, look, when it comes to United, I'll be honest with you. I looked at them against Leicester. They have absolutely...
So bad.
Without Ronaldo, they're
so
absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about them, to be honest with you. They're not going to get top 4. It is between Spurs and Arsenal, and we just have to win today, Dark Sun G. Big yourself up,
my favorite thing just about United is just how Fred, is actually their best player right now. Yeah. And I actually, just find that hilarious that Fred this whole time hasn't been the problem. Turns out it was Man United that was the problem, never Fred. And it used to be the narrative used to be just get rid of Fred and all the problems would be resolved. It's hilarious, Dave. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it is. But big up, Dark Sun G. Really appreciate support, man. Lazy 801 says, morning, lads.
Morning,
big up, Nick. I hope you're keeping well, my man. I hope you're keeping well, brother. Aaron Fernandez is on the way to the game, Dave. Hype it up. Well, my man Aaron, like I said to Davey boy, make sure you sing, you scream, and you cheer the boys on to victory. Antonio has called it for it to be a cauldron, so let's make it happen. And look, maybe bring your pellet gun as well, shoot down some magpies while you're at it. Talk some Newcastle fans. Why not, Aaron? Big yourself up, my man.
Remember to tell Moon Boots what to do in the stands as well. Moon Boots, he likes the communication from the Harris Army. He likes the communication.
And he loves being called Moon Boots as well, by the way.
Yeah, gotta tell him to clear his lines. Gotta tell him to clear his lines, Aaron.
Rufus Roofcut says, finally a game, Kulu for 1 or 2. I absolutely love that, Rufus. That is finally a game.
Love that name as well.
We also have Adzi166, massive, yeah, the name is good. Massive big up to Dark Sun G2, the all hours legend. It is. It seems like this guy doesn't sleep. It's like he's awake 24/7. That's so true, Adzi. And again, big up Dark Sun G says, my prediction hasn't changed from yesterday. But I do apologize. I maybe thought you had a little sneaky kid in there instead of a son.
I thought you did as well, Dark Sun G. I got to be honest. I'm with Dave on this one. Might go back and watch the tape.
Yeah, I'll have to go back
for the big 4-0, Dave, no matter what. You could still, the tape shows he went for the 4-0 no matter what. Maybe he switched up the assists, but, Dark Sun G, he just gets, Dave, he's like you, just takes a big breath, and then he just knows what's going to happen.
Oh, I love it. I love it. But big up Dark Sun G, brother. I do apologize. Look, we'll take a couple more comments and then we will start getting into it. Joseph says, good afternoon, lads. Come on, you Spurs. Going to the game for the first time in a while. Big up everyone here. Everyone's going to the game. I'm jealous. Why wouldn't you all go to the game when we were over there for the West Ham game? Come on, lads. It's not acceptable. But I really do hope you enjoy the game, Joseph. Like I've been saying to others, make it a cauldron, my man. Get down there nice and early. Sing the boys out. And all game, just keep getting behind the team. But big up, Joseph. And really do enjoy it. Left, right, left. Big points for Spurs. Move up to top 4. Pressure their runner gunner. Shittenel. Absolutely love it. Left, right, left. And love the name as well, my man. Big yourself up. Tiger Lily says, come on, you Spurs. Absolutely love it. Big up Tiger Lily. We have Bob Spur TV. Big up you beautiful people. And hi to Sean too.
Nasty. Nasty, Bob. Nasty.
He says 4-1 Spurs with a Kane hat-trick en route to finish EPL top goal scorer. My €5 bet on 22 to 1 last month is cooking. Wow. Alongside Don Paratici, Bob, it's cooking. But look, do you know what, Bob? I think today's going to be a bit of a tricky one. But, look, if Harry Kane gets a hat-trick, Bobby, I mean, I'm going to go absolutely berserk. I'm going to lose my shit. I'd absolutely love to see it. So.
Bob, all I can say to Bob, what's the point of an NFT, Dave, when you got a bet like that's just cooking and just, absolutely just rising in potential, beautiful bet, Bob. Beautiful. That's just vintage. You should put that on the wall. Put that on the wall to show your kids. I had faith in Harry Kane.
I absolutely love it. Big up, Bob. And look, hopefully it does come in for you, my man. I'd love to see it. Paddy Harnett and Bob, it's good to see you're getting back better and back streaming, my man. Keep it up, brother. Keep it up. Paddy Harnett says if Reggie is injured 50-50 and we move the wing back positions with Doherty Royale, then I'm not as confident as I was, and neither am I, Paddy, to be honest with you. Look, we kind of touched on it yesterday. I think, look, Doherty, the reason why he's in the team is because he's good going forward. He's not great defensively whatsoever. It's kind of like, why would you put him over onto the left-hand side to keep coming in on his right foot and take away from what he's added to that side? And then I just don't get it, Paddy. I do not get it. But look, we'll wait and see, my man. We just wait and see. And then we have Adrian Choya, and he says, big up, heading to the gym first before your watch-along. Look, why not get them gains, my man? Get them muscles pumping. Why not even rub some baby oil on them just to get the light to glisten off them at the right time? Wow, a few people as well.
Save a little bit of baby oil for Dave, just in case a hat-trick comes in for Harry Kane. Because might be a long session for him.
It could be a long day today. It could be a long day. But big up, Adrian. Go and enjoy the gym, my man.
Love that, Adrian. Love that.
Dark Sun G is in the house. He says, that's why I hope we keep ahead of Man United so to beat the Gooners and those 3 points won't help them for their top 4 hopes. I predict a Joe Shelby red card. Look, it'd be nice to get legs in around Joe Shelby. Look, as good as he is passing on the ball, he's not a great mover in that midfield. He's a bit of a lazy fucker, to be honest with you. So just knock the ball by him and ask the question. Get him to bring you down or let you go. That's what I say, Dark Sun G. But look, when it comes to United, I have no problems with it. Jack, anything you want to say, Dark Sun G?
Dark Zone G, he had that atrocious, whatever it was, 15, 20 minutes when he came on at the end of the game. Last time we played him, John Joe Shelby, I feel like he's always been like, he decides to be good, but he doesn't really decide to be good very often. So I think he's just one of those players where the ability is always there, Dark Sun G, but when he doesn't decide to turn it on, yeah, he can just be atrocious as well. But I am a bit worried maybe with that, midfield around him. Maybe he's playing along midfielders that he actually likes to play with. And, maybe the John Joe, the always, never seems to be in a good mood. John Joe is seemingly, looking a bit happier these days. But Dark Sun G, praying for that red card. Love it.
Yeah, big up, Dark Sun G. I really appreciate the support, brother. You're absolute top man. And then we have Michael Sobers. Sobers. Michael Sobers, I think it is. I think I got that right, my man. And he says...
It's becoming a YouTube member.
Actually, no, it's Big Mike. He says, yo, Big Mike here, finally a member. Big up the Harris Army. Big Mike, we hope to see you tomorrow on the fan show. Turn that camera on and come on and have your say with us, brother. I can't wait. I look forward to it, my man. I look forward to it. We have 2 people from yesterday's show as well that we want to see on Monday. Johnson is one of them. I'm trying to remember the other one, but I will remember it. But big up, Michael. I really do appreciate my man. And
Legend, Michael.
The Harris Army. And then we'll welcome in a couple more. We have Kaguma. Big up, Kaguma. It is good to see you in. On your bike, Scott is going to the game as well. Well, my man, go and enjoy it. Like I said, make it a cauldron that Antonio has requested of everybody. And then Carl Simpson's in the house. Big up, my man.
Big up, Carl.
We also have Win Nasdaq. That Nasdaq, that's like a stock exchange or currency, isn't it, Shawnee?
Yeah.
He's right up your street. This guy. But big up, my man. But look, we will start cracking into it. I'll just tell everybody they need to know. And then Jack's going to give you all the stats and he's going to give you the injury news as well. So everything you need to know, of course, guys, we are at home at that magnificent Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And Ellie is down there today. She sent me a video outside the ground. And I mean, the sun is glistening off it.
It looks lovely, didn't it? The weather looked amazing with the clouds.
It looks unbelievable, Shawnee. It does. I'm jealous. I'm not going to lie. Of course, guys, kickoff is at 4:30 p.m. today. So it's a massive one. Referee, for that guy out there that was asking, it is Martin Atkinson. And in the VAR room, it's Paul Tierney. So make sure you just jot that down. Look, we've seen how VAR has been working. It tends to kind of help out some of what you would call the old traditional top clubs in the league. So if things don't go our way today, we kind of know what's going on and who to blame. And then TV channels, guys, it's on CNBC in the USA, The Zone in Canada, and Sky Sports for people in the UK and Ireland. Guys, make sure we see everybody back here for the watch along, starting at 4:15 p.m. And then anybody that wants more build up to the game after we're finished here, follow me over to We Are Tottenham TV with build up starting from 3 p.m. Now, Jack, what's the stats? What's the team news?
Everybody, the pre-match pump up as well is at 3:30. So do join David for that one, just to continue the delusion.
Oh, no, that's 3. I put in the wrong time. It's 3.
Okay, it's at 3. And then Spurs, everybody, 5th in the table on 51 points. Last 5 games, we've won 4, lost 1 to Man United. Tottenham have won just 2 of their last 7 Premier League home games against Newcastle. They have failed to score more than once in any of those fixtures. Everybody, we broke it down last night. Newcastle, it seems like we have a lot easier time away from home beating them instead of them coming to our house. Spurs have won 4 of their last 5 Premier League games, having lost 4 of the previous 5. They scored at least twice in each of their 5 most recent fixtures. So everybody, we've just turned around the form entirely, and we've scored a lot more goals in the process. Spurs have recorded 9 wins and 8 defeats in 17 matches in all competitions in 2022. Only Brentford and Everton have lost more often this year with 9 defeats apiece. So we are definitely the back and forth sort of team. They can win 3 consecutive matches for the first time since October. The 3rd victory in that run was at Newcastle in the reverse Premier League fixture. And then Spurs need 1 more league victory at home to match their total number of 10 from last season. And then Spurs have benefited from 6 own goals. Everybody's favorite goal scorer this year's Owen goals in the Premier League this season, 3 times as many as any other side. Harry Kane has been directly involved in 25 or more goals, David, in 8 consecutive seasons. And then Sonny as well has scored 8 goals in the last 8 top flight home game appearances. His overall tally of 10 home goals is the most of any player, and the first time he's reached double figures on his own ground. So there it is. 2 stats on Sonny and on Kane. Dave, I might say that one on Sonny definitely seems like it took a bit more research, I must say.
No, look, I have a good question for a bit later on in the show, Jacko. It's a good stat, to be fair.
And then moving on to Newcastle, 14th on 31 points. Last 5, they've won 3 and lost 2. The Magpies' only victory in 9 league meetings since returning to the Premier League came away from home in 2019. And then Newcastle's Premier League record of 22 wins in this fixture is bettered only by their 23 victories against Aston Villa. Newcastle have lost consecutive Premier League games following a 9-match unbeaten run. Both defeats have been by a 1-0 scoreline, with the goals coming in the 89th and 90th minutes. So Newcastle, everybody, all of a sudden, they used to concede goals kind of in the first half, kind of 45th minute so, and now all of a sudden they're losing all their games at the end of games with 2 1-0 defeats, I believe, as well at the end of games. The solitary point from 8 away fixtures this season against teams in the top half of the table came in a 1-1 draw at West Ham on the 19th of February. Newcastle have conceded more than once in any of their last 11 Premier League matches, letting in 8 goals in total, so they've been a bit leakier. And then Chris Wood has scored 18 Premier League headed goals since the beginning of 2017-18, a joint high alongside Harry Kane and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Like we said last night, Chris Wood, a lot more useful than people probably give him credit for.
Wait, sorry, finally, say that last part again. He scored 18 goals from his head, the same as Harry Kane.
A joint high alongside Harry Kane and
Harry
DCL.
Kane scored 18 goals with his head.
I mean,
that's wow. I didn't know that. I didn't know he was a heading
Harry Kane. I mean, you always see some little at the end of the game. You always see that little glistening red spot. That's
true. Actually, a few more hair follicles.
I feel like he polishes it and keeps it even red. Maybe they put a bit of makeup on it. To keep it red, just to remind himself. At the perfect little spot that he nodded at home. But Chris Wood certainly. I mean, the guy just loves to nod at home. But Eddie Howe, lost all 5 Premier League away games as a Bournemouth manager versus Spurs by an aggregate score of 16-2. We also said that last night, where it seems like Eddie Howe is actually not the greatest guy. He doesn't really have a good record against Spurs, but Newcastle away from home at our stadium seem to have a very good record. So who knows? Maybe Eddie Howe might balance it out. And then players injured quickly for Spurs. Ben Davies is available after return to the club following a Wales win over Austria as a precaution. I believe that was some sort of thigh injury of some kind. Oliver Skipp, he's still out with that groin injury, but there is a bit of hope that Antonio Conte said, as well as with Ryan Sessegnon's hamstring, both going to return to training next week. I think there was even some shots of Ollie Skipp as well, kind of around the training ground, I think in that video yesterday as well. So he is returning. Jaffa Tanganga out with a knee. I think he's pretty much out for the rest of the year. I think they're going to do some sort of surgery on him. And then Sergio Reguillon potentially injured in training, and we will discuss that later. Newcastle, former defender Kieran Trippier is out for a while, I believe, with a metatarsal fracture. Callum Wilson is out. Alan St. Maximin, John Joe Shelby, Fabian Schär, and Martin Dubravka, the goalkeeper, have all recovered for some sort of short-term injury troubles, and I think are back fully fit and expected to play. Back to you, Dave.
No, absolutely well read out, Jack. You're better at reading the stats out than me, that's for sure, my man. So big yourself up. But everybody, we're going to let Shawnee in now. But guys, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you smash that subscribe button if you are new. And guys, feel free to help support the channel with a super chat with your thoughts. Any questions or anything you may have for us, we will take our time out. We will give it a good discussion. And look, every channel out there at our sort of level, they need all the support they can get, to help kind of keep them going and try and get to that next level. So guys, do not worry though if you cannot afford to do it. We know it's a big bad world out there. Keep getting your thoughts and everything else into the comment section, and we will keep bringing them up as we go along. Now, Shawnee, Catman, Jess, He has wanted a game day off you. So before you answer the question, you can give us one.
You want me to do another one?
Yeah, go on. Why not?
It's uncharted territory. I've never done 2 game days on the same show. It's game day!
I love it.
Lucky
I love
man.
it. It's music to my ears. I live for that on game day now. Just like everybody else, I live for it. But Shawnee,
it's like the choo-choo train going choo-choo. Like last, all aboard the game day train.
Non-stop express train. I love it. I love it. But Shawnee, can we pick up straight where we left off from the 3-0 win or the 3-1 win over the Bubble Boys?
Yeah, listen, I think that I've just been looking at, whilst Jack was calling out those stats, I was just looking at the stats at Newcastle's last sort of 6 or 7 games, right, since February. And essentially, they have been in the possession minority. And I'm talking like massive minorities, 30%, 27%, 25%, 35% for all of the games they played since February, apart from Everton, when Everton had a man sent off early, and another game I forget off the top of my head now where there was also a red card. So obviously that changes the dynamic of the game. So I think that Newcastle are going to sit back, just like what happened with just like what happens with Tottenham. Like everyone who wants to play Tottenham, they think they can do the low block, and I think Eddie Howe will be mad not to try it. For us to get this game up and running the way we need it to be, and it to be a comfortable afternoon, we need an early goal. Right, it's always the same with Tottenham. If we're 0-0 at halftime, or God forbid we concede a goal, then it's going to be a really, really tough afternoon. So I just hope that we start bright. I know I liked your point, Dave, earlier, and I heard you say it yesterday that give them the ball in the first 5 minutes to let them get comfy, and hopefully we can break on them. But after that, I think that if we don't have a goal by 35 minutes, 40 minutes, like against West Ham we did, against Brighton we did, against whoever the game was before that we did. I think that it's so important that we score in the first half and go into halftime with some sort of lead. If we do that, we can then kick on, because that throws their game plan out the window. If we don't get the early goal, I'm really worried, especially with what we're going to talk about shortly, I guess, which is the some of the formations and the strategies, injury dependent to certain players. But yeah, it comes down, for me, it's as simple as get the early goal. It's an easy afternoon. Don't get it, it's a real difficult encounter for us.
No, absolutely, 100%. It is going to be difficult. I agree with you. I think, look, a goal inside the first 20 minutes would settle down the fans, would settle down the manager, would settle down the whole squad, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And you could kind of set into a nice rhythm there. So I do think the early goal is absolutely crucial. You're spot on there, Shawnee. Jack, there always seems to be poor performances around the corner. When we look like a team who have got our act together, it's what Spurs do. Are you worried that the term Spurs might come to fruition today?
Well, it's a word that you and Alex Davies the other night, Dave, told me to really avoid. So, I'm not going to mention it.
He knows it.
But to be fair, I feel like it is, something that has, come true. It came true under Jose. It's kind of still come true, it feels like, under Antonio Conte. What was that stat earlier we read aloud, Dave, where the last time we even had, I think, 3 home game wins in a row was, I think in October, I believe was the last time that even happened.
Yeah.
So you look at it that sort of way, it's been very difficult for us to, continue in some sort of streak. It feels like we're good at, getting 2 wins off the bounce. It's always that third game, maybe that third or fourth game that seems to kind of elude us, you could say, with kind of only the Premier League left to focus on. I feel like maybe we can get rid of that notion, Dave. They've had more than enough time. I know a lot of internationals have come back, and they weren't really around the training camp, but there were some players that were important players that did stick around. I feel like for Antonio Conte, he's had a lot of time to adjust. He's had a lot of time to think about things. I feel like, with maybe just the Premier League to focus on, there's nothing really to distract the players. They all know what the target is. They all know what the goal is. I'm pretty sure there's no excuses for them this time. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just, probably defy that sort of, word in this case.
Yeah, no, 100%. Look, with the way this season has gone, you just fear that it potentially could happen. And today of all day after international breaks, and I just hope that, look, a win here today would kind of give the fans more belief, probably give the players more belief, and the manager more belief. So a win is absolutely crucial. Gaguma says, Sean is right. Early goal, please. Of course, Gaguma. Look, if we get the early goal, it just means So, look, if we don't score the early goal, all it's doing is inviting Newcastle to sit back on top of their own box and not budge. You get that early goal, their game plan is completely out of the window, Kaguma. So it's important that we get that early goal. Because if not, it's going to turn into a very, very long, hard afternoon.
The one thing that worries me, Kaguma, is when I was looking up some stats last night, Newcastle have scored a lot of their goals in the first 15 minutes of games, but they have conceded a lot of their goals kind of around the 45th minute, 50th kind of minute mark. So they either concede at the end of the first half or in the beginning of the second half. But they do have a tendency to score in the beginning of games, which does kind of worry me.
Yeah. And that would be it's one thing to go into the game 0-0 at halftime, then you're just dealing with frustrations and a bit of a panicky crowd that are starting to kind of go, oh God. And Tottenham have this, there's an opportunity today with Chelsea losing, with Manchester United dropping 2 points and looking woeful, and Arsenal not playing until tomorrow. This is a massive opportunity to not only close the gap on Arsenal, but to differentiate yourselves and separate yourselves from the other teams around you. And, it's I don't want to talk about the Spursy thing, but, in the past, we haven't necessarily always taken advantage of opportunities to grow gaps or to build gaps. And so Newcastle is probably not the team you want to play straight after an international break when their international players are few and far between. So they've had 2 weeks. Maybe those players who haven't gone away have had a couple of days break, but most of Tottenham's first team have been away on international duty, right? And you look at the teams yesterday, like you said, Dave, that were slow out of the gate. Everyone's a little bit tired, lethargic. Tottenham have had 1 extra day's rest. So you hope that we're not going to make the same mistake, and you hope that Conte and the coaches are going to kind of make sure that they come out firing and say, listen, there's an opportunity here. Don't fuck this up. But it's an open question, isn't it? How well Tottenham start the game, to me.
Yeah. For me, look, I think it's incredibly important today. We start it off in the right way, in the right manner. But look, we'll see. We will see. I am a bit nervous. Like I said, I think if we don't get an early goal, I think it could very well turn into a long, frustrating afternoon. But Kaguma, I really do appreciate the support. Big yourself up. But Shawnee, sticking with you, my man. Consistency has been a real problem for Tottenham during the 21-22 campaign. But we have won 4 of our last 5 matches in the Premier League. Have we put an end to the inconsistency, or will following up the Brighton and West Ham game with a victory here today put an end to all the talk surrounding it?
I don't think we'll put an end to it, because there's always going to be discussion points, right? But I think that you can go one step further. Apart from the Middlesbrough game, where it was just a really, and that wasn't obviously Premier League, but that was just a really disappointing performance. Both teams didn't really want it, and it was one of those, Chris Wilder kind of masterclasses of frustrations that he does time and time again. But apart from that, even the Man United loss, we were the better team, I think. Apart from their one player, Ronaldo, having an absolute worldie on the day. Apart from that, the other 10 players on Manchester United were probably not as competitive, not as solid as Tottenham were on the day. And we were on the wrong side of a defeat that was caused by just the best player in the world having one of his best games. So you have to go all the way back to the Burnley game to find Tottenham's last Premier League shit show, where it was just frustration, disappointment, no one turned up. And that's a while back. And I think with every additional hour that Conte spends with this squad, I think he is filling it in. But so I do think that the form table that was like win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. I think that there was a little bit more to that story than just the win-loss thing. I think that we were building consistent performances, and just a couple of anomalies there that continued that win-loss pattern. But if you didn't look at the actual context, then you might think it was just volatility.
What do you think the anomalies were, Shawnee?
Well, I think the anomalies were, like, obviously, like Middlesbrough was an anomaly, right? Where nobody turned up to that game for whatever reason. I don't know why, but nobody turned up. But I do think that the fact that we stayed injury-free for the last 6 weeks has been a building block for us to improve our consistent performances. Before then, we were playing with an 11 that had, players playing out of position, or players that we don't trust, and new players learning how to play with everybody else. There's a kind of a cauldron of different, different parts to the cocktail that made it difficult to find consistency. But over the last 6 weeks, we have improved our performances game over game because of the ability for these players to stay injury free, to play together, and to find, you know, rhythm and cadence with how they're playing with each other.
Yeah.
And this is what worries me more about today is if it's true that what's his name that Doherty that Reguillon's out and Doherty gets put over there and Emerson Royale's coming in, I feel like we're disrupting too much of the team. Yeah, I'd rather just disrupt the one position that we're losing. I know we're going to talk about that in a minute, so I won't go into it. But
no, go into it, lad.
Well, I just feel like if you know we've got an 11 that was settled, that's playing well, and if we had that 11 today, then I would have absolutely no concerns. Right, we still got to worry about Chris Will, we still got to worry about St. Maximin, but we've got far too much firepower up front against a relatively weak defense. But because if Reguillon's out, Doherty now it looks like he's going to get pulled over and put on the left, where all of a sudden he's not only ineffectual defensively, but he's ineffectual offensively. Right. Whereas on the right, he's got these relationships with Højbjerg and with Kulusevski that work in these little triangles that create so much more going forward. And obviously, we've still got the defensive frailties within Doherty, but you've got Christian Romero next to him who can help tidy up. I didn't see any real relationship between Romero and Emerson Royale building that was that good. And certainly Emerson Royale hasn't got a relationship with Kulusevski that's anything to write home about. And Doherty hasn't got a relationship with Sonny, nor does he have one with Ben Davies. So for me, it's like we're moving a player out of position to fill a gap, but in so doing, we're disrupting 4 or 5 other relationships that have already been built.
Yeah.
So I really don't.
And the 11 is so fragile, right, Sean? Yeah. Or do you feel like you make one change to it and then all of a sudden it kind of just all like dominoes, then, you know, everything gets undone. So maybe just making one change in the case of Bergwijn over there is you don't really mess up the whole system, or you don't really mess up the whole idea, because when you kind of think about it, even what is it like we point out that Reguillon's average position was basically like a left wing, and then Doherty was more like, you know, as a right wing back. Actually, Doherty was a bit more withdrawn than, you know, Reguillon was. Might as well then, if you're really trying to ask Reguillon to do that, maybe you just put Bergwijn out there. But you're going to have to ask him to track back, you know, like Reguillon does. But still, maybe that's, you know, so you don't mess up the whole system of what Conte does. Because the moment that you ask maybe Doherty to do that, like, are we really going to get the same thing? And then we just kind of mess up the whole system in itself.
Yeah, the only argument against putting, well, not the only one, but I guess a major argument against playing Bergwijn at left wing back is one of the stats that you pulled out yesterday, Jack, which was Christian Romero's. I think you said it was like 5.6 times per game he was on the shoulder of, you know, or like whatever. I
he wins the ball back for us 5.6 times.
But he's always really close to his attacker, right? And to the attacker he's playing against. And for me, what if Eddie Howe's aware of that, knowing that St. Maximin has the ability to drift and him and Fraser can swap positions, what would worry me a little bit is St. Maximin not sticking to the left, because he's already got a tough person in Romero that would thwart a lot of his offensive chances by getting close to him. So St. Maximin would then head over to the right-hand side of the pitch. Ben Davies and Bergwijn, right? And is Bergwijn capable? He might be capable to track back, but is he capable at really having a good game against St. Maximin defensively? So that's the only argument against, for me, putting Bergwijn in instead of Doherty. But anyway, sorry, I've been rambling.
I guess now we just realized, you know, you still have to defend as a wing back. You know, like, you know, no matter how much we want going forward, you know, you still need something defensively. You know, in certain games, and you know, I know they're St. Maximins, you don't come up against them every week, but you know, you still have to, you know, give the winger a bit of credit, and maybe that is kind of the reason why maybe Conte has been a bit hesitant about maybe making that sort of decision, because one-on-one situations, like, is Bergwijn really going to win that battle? Probably not. And you shouldn't criticize him for it either, because it's not really his job.
Yeah, 100%.
Good point.
Yeah, no, absolutely great discussion there, boys. I really enjoyed listening to that. Great points raised as well there on why we don't want Doherty over on the left and Bergwijn maybe coming in as well. Absolutely great points. Gary Blogs, congratulations, my man. Being a parent is probably the best gift in the world.
Wow, awesome.
So look, hopefully it all works out for you, and just enjoy it, my man. Look, it's not going to be an easy ride being a dad. But all I can say is enjoy every single minute of it, my man. Congratulations to you and your partner, Gary. Big yourself up, my man.
Did you name him after a Spurs player? Maybe
Harry Bloggs.
Maybe a cheeky
Harry
Glenn.
Bloggs, yeah.
Harry Bloggs.
I love it.
Harry Bloggs.
Yeah. Kulu Bloggs.
Honestly, I'm on a campaign now. To have a Harry Bloggs running around. So Gary and Harry. Imagine going to the barber for a haircut together. Gary and Harry. Come on, it's got to be done, Gary. It's got to be done. Big up Amari Edits. Come on, you Spurs. It's going to be a big match. So let's get these 3 points. Big up, my man. And then we also have Terry Betts Terry Beats says, Spurs fans since 1958. Come on, you Spurs. How can you endure pain that long, my man? How can you endure pain that long?
No, he saw the double.
Oh, well, actually, no, this guy, he's seen
just been waiting for it. He's just been waiting for it to come back.
He's seen a lot more than me. I'm jealous. I'm jealous, my man. You have wonderful memories. I have none. But big up, Terry. I have the League Cup.
You have Ajax. Yeah,
that's true. That's true. But look, Jacko, we head into this game trailing Arsenal, who have a game in hand. Of course, we're behind them by 3 points. Though there is a North London derby at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, still to be rescheduled. Jack, why are they taking so long to reschedule this match? Are they genuine and waiting for an opportunity to reschedule it? Or are they holding out to maximize the revenue of this game?
I think they are looking to maximize the revenue. I think, what did they decide? Like May 12th, I guess, is what they decided on. It's to maximize the revenue. But I think it's also, Dave, I think they're just a bit worried because they're probably starting to run out of Kleenex for, Arteta, because he's really crying after every single post-match press conference, Dave. I mean, he's finding every single reason to complain, they didn't give us enough water bottles, after, this many games, we had 2 weeks off, but it wasn't enough for Liverpool. The guy is really just starting to, I don't know, I feel like I was starting to kind of warm to that, kind of project that he was doing, Dave. And then the moment that he started complaining about having to play 2 games in a week, the first time they've done it all season, I really just lost all respect and credibility for the guy. So I think really, Dave, it's just, they're really just tired of the tears from Arteta, and they just want to please him. They shouldn't have done it. They shouldn't have fed, the baby, but I guess they haven't. So they put it on May 12th, Dave.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous.
I think they just got tired of the complaining, Dave. I think, it's, I mean, sometimes you think, Karen Klopp is, bad. I mean, honestly, Arteta is a lot worse. Arteta is a lot worse.
He is ridiculous. Lego head. The hair that can't be moved. Big up Chris Hagenbar. I hope you're keeping well. Shawnee, what's your thoughts on the whole North London derby thing, my man?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's 100% about money, isn't it? It's always about money when it comes down to it. And, playing it, I personally think that they're taking a massive risk, because Tottenham are going to go on and win the next 8 games, and before we play Arsenal are going to drop the ball, and by the time that they get round to the North London derby, the penultimate game of the season, Arsenal could be back in 5th or 6th place, fighting out with West Ham for the Europa League spot. So I think that they're taking. I'm kidding to an extent. I think it's going to go to the wire, but I do think they are taking a risk on delaying it. But it's obviously about money. It's always about money. Yeah. But they should make that decision now. The more, you can't. The longer you wait, you can't then suddenly go, oh, it's next Tuesday. They can't just suddenly do that then, right? So they have to. Yeah. They should just make the decision. If they want to put it at the end of the season, put it at the end of the season, or wherever you want to put it. But just make the bloody decision. Yeah. People have got tickets. My cousin who lives in Lanzarote, he's got 5 or 6 tickets to that game. So he doesn't know when the game is, when he's supposed to fly over for it. It's and I'm sure there's loads of people around the world that will be coming in for that game that bought tickets for the original fixture. It's selfish.
They don't care though, Sean, because they just know that fans will go anyways. I heard somebody say the other day, it's like they could put the game in, they could put it in Poland, in the middle of nowhere, and people will still find, a way to get there. They'll still take whatever bus, even with 24 hours left, they'll still be able to find a way to get there.
Swimming across the ocean.
We looked at the Burnley situation. They're Ali Gold is driving through 8 inches of snow, through the backcountry, in order to get there. He said at one stage, he was he actually was thinking about turning around and going all the way back, at one stage. I don't know. I think that's what's sad, is that they kind of take advantage of that. They just know that people will do whatever it takes. They even took advantage of me in my case. I had to reschedule a flight all of a sudden and go an extra day.
How long before was that game kicked back 24 hours?
It was like a week and a half or something.
See,
I was already in, and then I found out about it like basically the day or two after I arrived. Because they didn't announce it. I didn't see it on Twitter. I didn't see it, really anywhere, and I didn't really know about it. And then I realized I had to stay an extra day.
And it cost you more money, right?
Yeah, it cost you a fair bit of coin. Yeah.
It's selfish.
2 hours on vacation, just sitting on, a helpline, basically as well. So, I mean, like I said, they'll do anything. They'll reschedule it and put it in the middle of nowhere, and people will still go.
Yeah. I'd hate to see where Jack is willing to go for a Premier League game. He's talking about going to Poland for a Premier League. I'd hate to see where he's willing to travel. Love it. I love it. But Gaguma with the super sticker, and basically it's just like one of them, a good old Alan
it's the big pump up as well, Dave, actually. I think she's really doing, I think it's like Sean's was for the, for the choo-choo train. I think she's trying to do the choo-choo train. Dave.
she's on board. She's on board for sure. But big up, Gaguma. I really appreciate the support. Really do. And look, guys, we'll stick with sort of top four while we're talking about them. Now, Tottenham know that a 2-goal win today will take us into the top four. Before Arsenal play Crystal Palace on Monday night, of course, it would be the first time the club have been in the top four in the final 2 months of a season since finishing fourth in the 18-19 campaign. Sean, how confident are you about our chances of making top four?
I'm super confident. I'm super confident. I've been saying it. I'll never change my tune. I'll be confident until it's mathematically impossible. But we're far, far, far from mathematically worrying about the maths. Like, I think if it's, I genuinely think it's in Tottenham's hands. I know technically it's not, but if we go on a run, we've got an easier run in. And we just have to believe in ourselves. And I think for the first time, if we can stay injury-free or relatively injury-free, then I think we've got a better first team 11 and a more confident first team 11 with game changes in key positions that can turn any game on its head. And we've got a manager that is used to winning and can get us across the line, which maybe something we haven't had in previous seasons. And we've got a fan base that is passionate and will take us over the line. I genuinely think that we're going to do it. And I know we were joking yesterday about the Chelsea. Well, not joking, but we're talking about Chelsea, whether they're going to drop the ball. I don't think Chelsea are going to drop the ball enough to be pulled out of it. So I'm not worried about them. I think the fourth is the aim, and it will ultimately come down to the North London derby. But I don't necessarily think that. I think there's enough games, enough corners to go round still in this season where there's plenty more surprises that will happen. I think Arsenal will drop points where they shouldn't. I think Tottenham will probably drop points where we shouldn't as well. But ultimately, I'm very confident we're going to do it. I think we'll be hearing the Champions League music and playing on Wednesday nights next season.
I really do hope so. That's what they sing about Bentancur. He's the reason we'll be playing on Wednesday next season. Bentancur. Come on.
It's a fantastic song. Yeah.
I love it. But Jack, same question to you, my man. Actually, no, I'm going to give you a bit of a different one, Jack. So we have to travel to Anfield to face Liverpool on May the 7th. But we have winnable matches before that against Newcastle, Villa, Brighton, Brentford, Leicester. How many points from these 5 games is acceptable? And how many do we need to keep us in the top 4 race?
This is what I was thinking about. Whereas I feel like Arsenal, like if we keep in stride with them, they actually have some pretty winnable games that are against some teams that we spoke about this the other day. Players that are kind of teams that are already on vacation mode, because they don't really have much else really to play for. Yeah. I think Arsenal have a few games or at least a couple, with teams in that sort of situation. But we do as well. We're coming up against Brighton, like you said. I know Aston Villa, what are they really competing for? Yesterday. Like Gerrard's reputation? I guess that's what they're competing for, nowadays, which explains maybe why they're so bad in the first half is because they want to be in vacation mode, but Gerrard is like trying to, push them on, and try to get them to play a bit better than what they probably want to. And then you look at it as well, like Brentford, they probably just saved themselves from any sort of relegation sort of conversation if they weren't already out of it. So you do look at those sort of teams and Leicester City, of course. I know they put up a good performance against Man United, but they should be more focused on the cup competition that they're still in, and as well as like what are they really playing for? Like again, Brendan Rodgers' reputation. I guess that's what they're playing for. So these are all winnable games. But for Arsenal, the winnable games. But once Arsenal, Dave, gets past those winnable games, they're coming up against the big guns, and they're coming up against some really tough teams in a row. If we keep, I would say, Dave, what, 12 points, maybe a 15 at least, or at least 50. If we kept 15 points basically from those games, and then Arsenal came up against the bigger teams that they're eventually going to come up against, I feel like then we're in prime position, because we all know they're going to drop points against the big dogs. And then if we keep in stride with them, that's our perfect moment to almost pass them in the race, Dave, I would say. We just have to keep stride with them. Just keep stride like a horse race. Just keep stride. And then once they come up against those tougher teams that they've yet to come up against all season, I think then they'll watch them crumble a little bit, and we'll just surpass them from there.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Look, for me, no, I think we got to be winning all 5 of them, to be honest. We got to win today. Got to beat Aston Villa. They were woeful against Wolves. Brighton, look, they haven't been good, despite everyone praising Harry Potter.
Yeah, we've been beating up on Brighton this season.
And Brentford, look, I know they won at Chelsea, but again, you're looking at, if you want to be in the Champions League, you got to win that game. And same as Leicester, we've got to be taking points from all 5. We've got to take as many points as we can before that Liverpool game. But look, Shawnee, these next few games will be interesting. It might actually tell us something about the characters in the Tottenham squad. What characteristics do you want to see from this Tottenham squad for the last 9 games this season?
Well, I know I want to see zero fear, right? What have we got to lose? We've got like nothing to lose, nothing to fear, everything to gain. I want to see dogged determination. I want to see players playing for each other. I'd like to see players when they come off the bench, like a Lucas Moura or Steven Bergwijn, to, whether they get 5 minutes or 25 minutes, I'd like to see them come on with an attitude that they got something to prove. Yeah. And I want to see leadership from the big boys, right? I want to see Hugo Lloris, Hugo Lloris has been a phenomenal asset for Tottenham Hotspur. He's tried, tested, and trustworthy. Although since he signed his contract extension in January, he's made a couple of mistakes. But I want to see him step up now and go above and beyond his usual exploits, because we're going to need him. Tottenham are always vulnerable a little bit to sloppy mistakes, and we need him to have a phenomenal end to the season. I want to see Højbjerg continue to deliver and to encourage those around. I'd like to see people like Romero get a voice. I think that guy is a leader in what he does, but I've never heard him really talk. He's very quiet on the pitch. Maybe that's too much to ask too soon. And then obviously Harry Kane and Sonny and those guys just to keep doing what they're doing. So I just want to see leadership, teamwork, and passion accompanied by zero fear. I don't want to see us choke. And Tottenham teams in the past have had the propensity to sometimes fall asleep at the wheel or miss opportunities. This is a new team led by a different type of manager, a different breed of manager, and I want that kind of that ferocity that Conte has to drip feed through the squad and through the team, and seize the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? Absolutely spot on, Sean. I could not agree more. Jack, anything you want to add to what Shawnee put out there? And I think I want to see everything Shawnee said there.
No, I don't think I could add anything more to it. Maybe just re-emphasize what he just said in the case of maybe Bergwijn and Lucas and players like that. They're on the periphery, that maybe don't start every game. You'd like them just to focus on what the goal really is, and that goal is to get us in the top 4. That goal is to finish the season strong, and they should maybe disregard any of their personal, maybe goals, any of their sort of personal preferences of what they want, maybe in their roles or whatever. I think they should all focus on the collective, focus on the team, like Shawnee was saying. And then we actually probably might have a cohesive squad.
Yeah.
No, absolutely spot on. And everybody out there, it is midway through the show, so make sure you are smashing that like button. That's a thumbs up one down below the video. Smash it. Smash that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. Big push for 7K is on. Also, get over and check out flatcapeurotalk, the home of Jack, a Spurs talk show from the home of Shawnee. And everyone, feel free to get your super chats in with your thoughts, opinions, questions, whatever it may be. And we will sit here and give it a very good discussion. It really does help the channel out, guys. And big up the Bertie. He says, let's go get them 3 points. Woo! Big up, my man. Let's get after it. A big up Light Work and Spurs related as well, all in here joining us. Big up Jamesy. The quiz next Saturday night, hosted by Spurs related on this channel as well. Should be good fun if anybody wants to pop in for it. But big up, James. It's good to see you, my man. But look, Jacko, Tottenham have won 9 of our 14 Premier League games, collecting 28 points. Tottenham have won 9 of our 14 Premier League games this calendar year, collecting 28 points from a possible 42, with only Liverpool 36, Man City 34, and Arsenal 32 boasting stronger records at home, on home soil during the 21-22 campaign. Are you happy with our home form this season, Jack? And is 28 points a good enough return from 42?
You kind of look at the teams that have more than us, they kind of have significantly more, especially, the case of Liverpool, having 8 more. But then again, I guess Anfield has always been maybe the best sort of home fortress, the past few seasons in a row. So maybe we can kind of disregard that. The 2 libraries, though, Dave, having, more points at home over us is maybe a bit disappointing. But to be fair, they've been teams in really good form. Like Man City win a lot of games. Arsenal have only been playing once a week this whole season. They, of course, then win a lot of games. So you could also look at it as not really much of a surprise because we've just played a ton more games, than the likes of Arsenal. So actually, when you do look at it, Dave, at first, I'm not too happy about it. But then I kind of think about it in context of the teams that are ahead of us. It's a lot better than, we would have expected maybe at the beginning of the season. Being 4th is actually a pretty good position. That's better than, I guess, Chelsea's, I guess from what the stats showed as well, which makes me pretty happy. But Dave, I would say the home game, the home fortress, the stadium, have we won some games, to the crowd, maybe more than really the style of play? I would actually say yes. I feel like, the crowd has actually helped us through a lot of games this season, especially under Nuno. I think the crowd, got us some wins this season that maybe we probably wouldn't have had it been at maybe a neutral ground, or had it been like during the COVID era of when there's nobody in the stadium. So you definitely have to say, being at home has actually won us some games more than even actually the football did.
No, 100%. Look, for me, 28 out of 42. Look, it's okay. Look, you think of some of the games we've lost at home, Southampton, Wolves, shouldn't be happening. Should be winning them games. So for me, look, it's okay. I'm not happy with it. I would like a better return from home, to be honest with you. Look, obviously we have to take into account the United game under Nuno and stuff like that. But for me, look, it needs to be improved next season for sure. Shawnee, Spurs have taken 21 points from 12 games in 2022. Only Liverpool, taking 28 points, have took more points this calendar year. Should we actually be giving our team more credit than what we are? If you take in consideration like the form and everything else we've had, but yet we've took the second most points after Liverpool since the start of 2020.
Since January. Yeah, that's an interesting stat. So, especially when you factor in that we've lost some silly games to Wolves and Southampton and Burnley. I think that
and the injuries, to be fair, and the
injuries we've had, yeah.
You're kind of inclined to say yes, I guess, but you kind of don't want to.
You don't want to.
No, I don't think. I think we're about where we should be. If I'm honest, I feel like
that's a good answer.
I think that I think that Liverpool, Man United, and Chelsea have had better seasons generally, right? And so that the top 3, that they are the top 3 as they should be. And I think that Arsenal, Man United, West Ham, Wolves, the people that are racing for 4th are the right teams. And I don't think there's much to separate between the two. And whilst we might have had a better run-in January, we've been sloppy enough we could obviously have more points, right? So I'm surprised by the stat. I really am. It just goes to show how volatile the league is and how every team is capable of beating every team. If we're second with 22 points and Manchester City and Chelsea have got less points than us, it just goes to show how competitive the league is and how you shouldn't take any games for granted. But I don't think we should give them any more credit than they've had, and I don't think we should criticize them any more than we have either. I think we're about par for our performances overall.
Interesting. Look, for me, just quickly, when you look at it, like, obviously, look, some of the games that we've dropped points in have been disappointing. But when you look at it, we're second most behind Liverpool. I mean, it's not a bad return. It really isn't a bad return, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think Sean's right. We are about where we are.
So where's Man? How many points have Man City had? Do you have that stat, or you don't have the rest of the detail behind it? No. Okay, yeah. Okay. I mean, I would have thought Arsenal would have had more points, but I don't know. Listen, like I say, yeah. To me, I think that that's a compliment to how competitive the league is, and that it doesn't matter whether you're playing Norwich, Burnley, or Man City. Tottenham have the capabilities to beat the best and lose to the worst, and so does every other team. And so we just need to be consistent and to put our best foot forward, and also respect the opposition if we're going to build on that fantastic stat as into the last 9 games.
No, spot on. William Kelly says, whatever happened today, do not lose. Look, William, I'll be honest with you. I'd be even disappointed with a draw, to be honest with you. I want the win. I don't really want to accept anything else but the win, to be honest with you, William Kelly. For me, you just got to keep winning the games. A draw, I think, would be very disappointing and would probably put an unwanted roadblock in front of our momentum, to be honest with you, William. But it's got to be a win against these Magpies. Big yourself up, William. I hope you're keeping well, brother. It's good to see you in, my man. It is great to see you in. Now, Jacko, I don't want to spend too long on this because we do have more urgent stuff to get to on the game days. But in advance of Spurs versus Newcastle on Saturday or today, members of the Proud Lily Whites and the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust will be on Tottenham High Road to highlight the Saudi state's ownership of Newcastle United. Is this up to fans to be highlighting the issues, or should governing bodies be doing this?
I think we all know what, at least the governing bodies of the Premier League should have done. I mean, they have a fit and proper persons test for, the ownership of every Premier League club. They decided to forego it and bend the rules, or I guess the rules are just that non-existent that, or that, vague that pretty much anybody in the world can be, an owner of a Premier League club. It seems that was the case. So yes, Dave, of course, all the blame and all the responsibility goes towards the governing bodies. But do you really blame fans, for realizing, how maybe corrupt or how, maybe upsetting or, disregarding, the Premier League bodies and the UK bodies are in terms of being responsible for this? I feel like fans are allowed to voice that. They're allowed to be upset, with the fact that this was allowed. They're allowed to, voice their concerns about what's going on in Saudi Arabia also as well. So the fact that they are protesting, Dave, I think is fair play to them. They're certainly allowed to do that. Who's actually responsible for it? It's not the fans. It's certainly the people that, have the fit and proper persons test in order to prevent it from happening. What happens from there on is really no one's responsibility other than the Premier League. But I think anybody is allowed to protest. What's probably a bit, I don't know, Dave. There have been some certain moments with Daniel Levy that you kind of thought that maybe the supporters trust would also do maybe a protest in that case with what maybe Daniel Levy has done. But I think those are two very, very different sort of topics, obviously. But yeah, I have no qualms with it, Dave. No qualms. But certainly to answer the question, responsibility of the Premier League governing bodies.
No, spot on, lad. Shawnee, should we expect Newcastle to head into this game with a defensive mindset and bagging a point in this fixture is actually satisfactory for them?
I think that I do think that they will play a low block. I do think that they're going to come out. I know that it's not unusual for Eddie Howe previous under Bournemouth. He wouldn't have done that, but I think under Newcastle, he's trying to get himself out of a relegation dogfight. I think he's done that now. But it's still not, they're not completely out of the woods. And I think that they will come low block because it makes sense to, right? And it makes sense to have less possession because Tottenham usually are pretty poor when we have the ball. Whether that's defensive or whether that's just a particular strategy to frustrate and then to pivot. And I think Newcastle have got the players up front. That front three, we spoke about it a lot yesterday.
Yeah.
Not only do they have the pace and the trickery of St. Maximin and Fraser to an extent is a pretty tricky player, but they also have the height and the aerial threat of Chris Wood to be able to knock balls down. So they can sit back, absorb. And if Tottenham try and push too much, if Doherty on the right or on the left, however that whole thing looks like, if we do get pulled a little bit out of shape, to try to get that additional man up there to try to find a path through with clever 1-2s.
Yeah.
And we lose the ball, make it easy. Just throw the ball up the field. Chris Wood nods it down to St. Maximin. So I don't know if it's defensive necessarily. I think it's just it would be a clever technique to utilize their assets against a team that A, is poor in the air, and B, doesn't do well when we have the ball. I think whether you call that defensive or not, but that's how I expect to see them set up. And like I said, I think it's going to be a very tough game. If we score in the first 20 minutes, that changes everything, because then Newcastle have to then come out if they want to.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're coming here for a point. I think they'll be coming here for the 3 points, but I think they're going to do it in a way that would appear on paper to be quote unquote defensive, even though I just think it's utilizing their assets in the best way.
No, 100%. Jacko, Newcastle are likely to produce a huge attacking threat. As we know, as Spurs fans, our biggest problem is breaking down teams who sit in and are happy with a point. Could a way of breaking them down today be getting Davies, Reguillon, Doherty, Romero to get forward and help create overloads going forward when the ball is down their side?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason we've kind of had a really tough time breaking down teams, that sit really deep against us, Dave, though, I think a huge common denominator in a lot of those performances actually has been Harry Winks. If I can remember correctly, it's been Harry Winks and Højbjerg that have really struggled. I think it's not even just been Harry Winks. It's been Højbjerg that's really struggled at breaking down teams that are sitting, really deep against. But what we have saw, even personally, Dave, is that Bentancur is probably our only midfielder that actually picks the ball up and tries to receive it on the half turn to try to get something going at least a bit quicker. He has a bit more urgency is maybe the right word for it on the ball than even Højbjerg does or Winks does. And that's what I think maybe could be our saving grace against maybe trying to break a team down, is that players like Bentancur, Dave, they seem to have more of that mental clock about how long, they've been on the ball. They have more of a sense of urgency with it. They also take more risks, which I think is what you eventually need to do. That's why we kind of ask for, this quote unquote creative midfielder that Conte doesn't really want. What a creative midfielder sort of does, though, is Dave, they, take more risks on the ball and they try to, open things up maybe when a player like a Højbjerg or a Winks, probably wouldn't. And even a Skip, let's say, probably wouldn't either. They're probably a bit too kind of careful, a bit too cautious on the ball, where maybe having a player like Bentancur, Dave, could actually be our saving grace. Because I don't know, it feels like ever since Bentancur and Højbjerg have been together, it feels like teams are actually trying to press us more than they're trying to actually sit back against us. The only team that really did sit back against us was Man United. And funny enough, I actually thought Højbjerg had a really good game against Man United. So I don't know, Dave, maybe ever since those two have come into play, teams are not really feeling like, sitting back against us as much. They actually feel like they need to take the game to us a bit more. But I have faith that Bentancur will be able to break it down. I also have faith that, maybe with this new role that Sonny's playing, with the way that Harry Kane's been dropping deep, I have a lot more confidence, Dave, that we'll be a bit better breaking down teams that sit nice and deep. Also, just Newcastle, as much as they've been a bit better defensively and have, conceded a lot of possession, Eddie Howe and his teams, they're not really known for being good defensively. And also that back four, I would probably say, is the weakest of all of their kind of sections of the 11. The midfield is pretty good. The attack is pretty good. The back four for Newcastle, I would say, is their weakest.
No, absolutely spot on. And Gaguma says, Bentancur, let's boss it today. Exactly, Gaguma. Let's go after it. Bentancur, we need his quick pass around the corner to Harry Kane, who then can release Sonny in behind. A carbon copy of the West Ham game for me, Gaguma, but big yourself up. And Bentancur was absolutely class against West Ham, by the way, actually. So hopefully we do see more of that today. Gaguma, Shawnee, Tottenham have won 4 of our last 5 league games, having lost 4 of the previous 5 before that, and have scored at least 2 in each of their 5 most recent games. Is this Tottenham side really starting to click into gear? Maybe some would say purring, roaring, a bit like a tamed animal just wanting to be let out of its cage on the
Offensively, we seem to have found some magic, right? The 3 of them, but like Kulusevski's just come in and it's just been such a smooth transition for him. And, for the first time, I feel like Harry Kane and Sonny, they don't need to necessarily rely on each other 100% of the time. They're confident to be able to bring Kulu in, and Kulu doesn't let anyone down. He plays well. He does bring in. He has good relationships with Højbjerg, and the triangles he creates with Doherty is great. Offensively, we are scoring. On average, I think, was it 4 past Everton, 5 past Leeds, or the other way around, 4 past Leeds, 5 past Everton, 2 against United. we're not having
Brighton 3 against West Ham.
West Ham. Yeah, so we're hitting 3 goals on average per game at the moment in the last 5. Offensively, there's not a problem. So yeah, we are, we're a scary team to play against now, and this is against teams that also were using the template that was first decided upon by Southampton away back in January to sit back and do the low block. We seem to have found a way to break them down, and that methodology seems to be to allow Doherty on the right to come up and join the attack, and then play the tricky little 1-2s with Kulusevski and get the early goal. And when that happens, obviously the players, I've said it 1,000 times, the other team come out, and then we can use Sonny and Kane, etc., to put the game to bed. It all depends on the first goal. However, like I say, so are we purring? Are we an animal that's like ready? Yeah, we are looking fulfilled. But I'm worried today that the disruption of Reguillon, if it's true that he's not there, pulling Doherty out, I think that the offensive, the succinct thing that we've figured out, that rhythm, that cadence, doesn't start at Kane, Sonny, and Kulu. It starts further back. It starts with Bentancur, Højbjerg. It starts with Doherty, Romero pulling the ball out, Davies pulling the ball out. And I just worry about this, shift of players and bringing Emerson in. I just worry about what that's going to do to the rhythm going forward. So, I'm still positive. I still think we're going to win, but I think it's, our first 11 are great. Our first 12 or our first 13 are not so good. And I just hope I hope it's not true. I hope the Reguillon's playing. If so, it will be an easy day, I think. But if not, well, it's going to be a test, and see what happens.
It's going to be a bit of a headache.
We've said this for a while. You take one guy out of that starting 11, everything just kind of comes undone. And that's the whole point of having quality. And again, we beat this drum all the time, but the whole point of having quality squad players is that in case this happens, someone fills in and can do the job just as well, if not better, maybe to an extent.
It's a loose thread in a wool jumper. You start to pull on that thread and the whole fucking thing falls apart a little bit,
Exactly.
So
and it is frustrating. I will say, like Sessegnon, as much as people love him, I'll say this again, like he is a backup left wing back, and he continues to be injured as a backup left wing back when he doesn't play nearly as many games as Reguillon does.
Yeah,
and he still finds himself to always be injured when we need him most. It feels like he's always available when Reguillon is available, but the moment Reguillon gets hurt, it feels like he's injured as well. Which is a bit frustrating.
But Reguillon's had quite a few injuries this season as well. I'm starting to worry about his because last season he was an ever present, wasn't he? And he was running for days.
Picked up anything.
But this season he's had 3 or 4 little short spells out. So
frustrating thing though, just as much as Sessegnon has. That's like the frustrating thing. Yeah, and this has been more of a healthier year. It feels like for Sessegnon, too, which is a bit frustrating.
Yeah. No, for sure. I'm going to skip a few questions and I'll go down to Sonny and Kane questions and I'll come back. But who did I ask last question to? Sean? I think it was Sean. So I'll go to Jack with this one. Jack, up until the spanking of the Bubble Boys, there were some complaints about Sonny's finishing and decision-making. But Son has scored 8 goals in his last 8 Premier League matches at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Overall, he's the highest scoring player in home Premier League matches this season. With this, the first campaign he's ever reached double figures for home goals as well. Can Son maintain his scoring form going into today's game against Newcastle?
I feel like, he scored against them, last time, even under Nuno. So maybe, this is another one of those teams that Sonny just all of a sudden, just kind of seems to have, kind of good displays against. Dave, we broke it down last night. Sonny not only is being able to score the goals this season, but he's pretty much leading on all the creative numbers for us. I know he's played maybe a lot more minutes than some other players, but it's not really a surprise that he's leading by considerable margin. Dave, he has some of the most passes into the penalty area. He has some of the most take-ons. He has some of the most progressive carries, some of the most, chances created out of any players in our squad. So even if Sonny isn't scoring the goals, I have full confidence that Sonny will pop up with an assist or might pop up with, some sort of, attack that he'll lead, some sort of counterattack. It feels like even the whole notions that Sonny maybe isn't, playing, at full capacity. I don't know, Dave. I think he's still doing incredibly well, and he's pretty much still undroppable, especially when you really break down what he's been doing for us this season away from the goals, just in the creative numbers. So Dave, yes, he's going to get probably a goal against Newcastle, especially coming up against like their second or third choice right back, as well as also I think a Fabian Schär, who's much better on the ball than he is defensively. I have full confidence that Sonny's definitely going to be tearing them apart.
No, I absolutely love that. And John North, yes, these idiots are talking about Son, and these idiots are also going to talk about Big H yet again. So I'm going to pass the question on to Shawnee about Harry Kane.
He has a son bio on his son pick.
I know. Imagine.
Irony.
It's ridiculous, but yet we're the idiots. Imagine that. But look, Shawnee, Harry Kane has been directly involved in 25 or more goals in 8 consecutive seasons. Is it about time us Spurs fans put some respect on his name? And are we watching a Tottenham legend in the making?
Is this Sonny we're talking about, yeah?
No, this is Happy Kane's lad.
Oh, Harry Kane.
Yeah, Harry Kane has been directly involved in 25 or more goals in 8 consecutive seasons.
Yeah. Is he a legend? Is that the question?
Are we witnessing a legend right now? And
of course.
Do Spurs fans need to put a bit of respect on this guy's name?
I don't know. I mean, is there how many Spurs fans don't?
I've seen them since the start of the season. I've seen them all. The minute people got a chance to turn on Big H, they all turned.
Listen, Dave, I know how much you love the guy, but his behaviour at the start of the season, as the season was coming in, when he stayed away on holiday for an extra 3 or 4 days, whatever that advice was, whether it was his brother, whether it was miscommunication from the club. Well, you know what, mate? Like, it's tired's fine, but there was another 300 players at the European Championships that got back to preseason training on time. Like, I just feel like there was an element to Harry Kane's behaviour, whether it was his advisory people or himself or whatever was happening with this head turn by Man City, people getting his ear. Even though the guy is a world-class player and a superstar, he's still human, and he's only 28, and God, I'm 38 and I still make mistakes every day of my life. And so I'm not chastising the guy, but there were some people who, Tottenham fans who think that there's no player is bigger than the club. Mm-hmm. And they interpreted that whole noise as disrespectful, right? And at the time, I personally sat on the fence with it a little bit. I actually made a point saying I think we should have sold him for 150 million, because 150 million pound player then. And I'll hold my hands up now and say it was wrong, because look how fantastic he turned. I'll hold my hands up. I always happy to admit when I'm wrong. But at the time, I think that there was a little bit of credibility to the argument. If you think that the club is bigger than any particular person, no matter how great a servant they have been, then you could interpret his behavior in a bad way. Since then, and it took until about game 8 or 9 or whatever for him to find his form. And he's done what he always does, which is shut all the doubters up, and he's come through and he's been an absolute monster. Is he a legend? Of course he's a legend. He's going to break every single record that every goal scorer would ever wish to be able to break, both for Tottenham and for England. And he'll of course go on and live in the Hall of Fames for everything to do with football. And I love the guy, and I wish him all the success in the world at Tottenham, or even if he does decide to leave, I still never begrudge him success wherever he goes, because he does deserve.
I hate him.
Sean, if Daniel Levy offered you, Sean, if Daniel Levy offered you an extra week to go on Lewis's yacht, take your kids to Disney World, you get an extra week off, and you just could be able to tan on the deck, the big Lewis yacht, look at the artwork. Your kids get to go hang out at Disney World. I mean,
you take it.
A lot of us would probably take it.
But if that was how it came, and this is the thing, it was super.
And then that just ruined Harry Kane's, initial part of the season, because once you shake hands with the devil like that, you lose a bit of momentum. That's what happened. That's understandable.
Well, none of us will ever know. But the one mistake that he did make, I think, was not coming out, or somebody somewhere, whether it was Tottenham or him, like that kind of that bad energy that kind of festered around all of the Tottenham community. Nobody knew whether we were coming or going. It was going to be left late. Yeah. Was he going to leave? Wasn't he? How much time did we have to replace him? All that bad energy.
Even when he did put out a statement, though, it wasn't good. So fans all week were calling for a statement. We want a statement. They get a statement, and then the statement wasn't good enough for them.
It was a late statement, though. It was after the fact, wasn't it?
It doesn't matter. Do not sit there all week demanding, I want a statement. And then when you get the statement, then go, no, that's not acceptable for me. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd.
But there was other things, mate, like, you know,
will not be happy with it.
We won the first 3 games of the season. Harry Kane wasn't playing in any of them, and he didn't send out any congratulatory tweets. There was other things, man. Like, you can understand. I know how you feel about the situation, but if there's anybody out there that felt it differently, you can understand why they felt the way they did. The great thing is, in the end,
this is a guy over the last 8 years who has done nothing but score goals for Tottenham, being involved in 25 goals per season. Yeah. I do not understand it. Look, and then to go as far as wanting to sell him and everything else. I mean, look, I find it absolutely absurd. Why do you want to sell a world-class player? Look, I don't understand it. I don't. At the end of the day, we're Tottenham Hotspur. We've got world-class players here. Instead of criticising them and just because they don't do stuff that we want, even though there's more politics involved with how to operate with Daniel Levy and everything else. I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, look, by all means, pull a world-class player down, but then don't complain when they don't want to come to Tottenham then.
I think the next overlap, Dave, from Gary Neville needs to be with Harry Kane's barber. I think that will just solve the whole situation. Then we would know exactly what Harry Kane was thinking at the time.
Yeah,
that didn't help. You can't do it with Harry Kane. You know, he'll not. You know, he won't concede everything. You do it with the barber. The barber will tell you everything. He'll give you all the secrets, and then Dave, will be satisfied with what he knew all along, or maybe Dave, will be taught a few truths from the barber. Who knows? Who knows?
Either way. It all figured out. It all worked out in the end, right? He finally finished with his sulking or whatever. There's a reason why he wasn't playing well, didn't start well, and he's turned it around. And he's now, whatever. He'll finish on 20 goals for the season, maybe more, and it all figured out in the end, right? And then we'll go through the same merry-go-round in the summer. But like I say, just for me, is he a legend? Was the original question. Of course he is. And even if you were someone who was in the what the fuck is Harry Kane doing camp at the start of the season, they would all still say he's an absolute legend for the club and deserves a statue, whatever happens,
Yeah, Big H, don't ever leave, because then I'll be your number one hater, so make sure you stay in contact.
You're a fickle man.
Oh, lad, I just love players at Tottenham. Once they leave, I get pissed off, Gaguma says, yes, Sonny, score. I think he will score today. Be assisted by Big H, Gaguma. Big yourself up, love.
Love it, Gaguma.
And Chris, new YouTube member. Big up, Chris. I hope you're keeping.
And he's also celebrating, Dave, 11 months as a member.
How can he be celebrating 11 months and then be a new member?
I don't know. Maybe he's upgraded the membership. I'm not sure. Maybe he's upgraded it. Let us know, Chris. But he says 7 months a member. Chris, you've been a member for 11 months by the looks of it. That's what YouTube is telling us.
Maybe he heard your take on Harry Kane and then went, I'm going to cancel that membership.
4 months. 4 months hiatus. 7 months of member. He says, come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Smash Tea Towel Central. Big up, Chris. Nice. Big up.
It's Chris. A big one for this guy today. He lives up there. So... we cannot take a.
Is that Chris? Chris.
Yes.
Chris. Hi, Chris.
Monday could be a different fan show of Chris. It could be one or the other. Either he's absolutely flying home from work, telling everybody about how good his day was, or he's going to be showing up to that Monday fan show. Dave, not Chris, the best of mood.
I beg you, if we win, show up dressed as a sheikh. I beg you, please. I would absolutely love it.
Nice.
I would.
A milkshake.
No, just go over. Just go over to the Target, or I forget what their version is in the UK. I was in one of them, and just hand out the tea towels, my man. Just hand out the tea towels for the tears. For the tears.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. Now I need to find where I'm back on the question. So just keep talking for a minute, Jacko. You sound good.
I mean, there is one that I did want to maybe just ask Sean, David, which I could do probably quickly.
Yeah,
Sean, according to the Premier League's website, Spurs have missed the 3rd most big chances this season. Is this a shock or a surprise to you? It's Liverpool and Man City that are ahead of us, but we've missed the 3rd most big chances this season. What does that kind of tell you?
I can think off the top of my head half a dozen. I remember the game against Brighton where Kulusevski could have had 2 assists, and if it wasn't for Bergwijn blazing it over and Harry Kane, they were gilt-edged chances. I can remember Serge Reguillon having 2 or 3 chances to score. that were gilt edged.
The Nuno era. I remember some bad chances in the Nuno era too.
Yeah. So it doesn't surprise me, the stat. You know, Tottenham are capable of creating a lot of chances, magic it almost, but we're not always. If it's not Harry Kane or Sonny, or until recently Kulu, then if those chances fall to other players, they haven't got the confidence. You know, it's the same with people like Lucas Moura. Great player, love Lucas Moura, but apart from that goal against Norwich when he just pulled that worldie out, you know, how many times over the last 2 or 3 years have we seen him get into good positions, but his first instinct is to kind of pass it, look for Sonny or Kane when he should have taken it on himself. I think there's an element within the Tottenham team, especially the offensive and the midfielders, that because Harry Kane and Sonny are so good that when no one else shoots. Exactly. Everyone's a little bit scared of having a crack and missing when probably Sonny and Kane are in decent positions. So it doesn't surprise me that we've missed, but I'd imagine that the vast majority of those missed chances are not from Harry Kane and not from Sonny. I'd probably think that most of them come from other players.
Do you feel like maybe as a follow-up, like if those big chances, I feel like a lot of them, if I can remember, was also even the difference between 3 points or, you know, just grabbing a point, you know, in certain games. And you could actually look at it as probably us being maybe ahead of Arsenal had maybe some of those big chances gone in. Yeah,
well, 1,000,000%. And last, and I know the statistic doesn't count to last season, but against, like, you know, when we had Mourinho in charge, we were terrible at finishing off games, and you know, usually we'd go we go the 1-0 up and then sit back. So I think if we were better at being clinical with certain other players, and this is where Alex has got a point when he says we're Harry Kane FC, you know, what he really should mean is we're Harry or Son FC, you know, because it's usually those two that are the difference. He has got a point that some of the other players in the squad, you know, not that they're necessarily always in the goal scoring positions, but when they are, we should be able to expect more from players like Reguillon, players like Emerson Royale had chances that didn't take. You know, players like Højbjerg have got in good positions in the past, and they get a little bit, I don't know, whatever the reason, they get kind of like altitude sickness when they're further up the pitch, and they, you know, just suddenly have no confidence. But yeah, if some of those other players were able to contribute more, and if we could get a few more goals from corners and set pieces, which you'd look towards maybe some of the centre backs to contribute more, which they don't enough, then we probably would be third or fourth already.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, good answer, my man. And look, Jacko, to you, my man. Look, Rodrigo, Bentancur, Davinson Sanchez, and Christian Romero's nations all had the final games of the break during the early hours of Thursday morning. Do you think there'll be any tiredness after the international break? And do you see Conte making any changes to the starting lineup today after some players maybe playing as late as Thursday morning? And we'll get your opinions and Shawnee's in on this.
I'd be surprised to see any lineup changes. In the case of Bentancur, though, like, I feel like he could, you know, you wouldn't be surprised if maybe it's not really his best game, maybe to an extent. Like, I feel like with Uruguay, he's used extensively. He's one of their best players. Like, I know everybody called him a Juventus reject, but you look at how many minutes he was playing at Juventus, played a lot of minutes there, played a lot of minutes before. You look at right now, he's playing full 90-minute, you know, games as well. And he's being a bit, you know, better going forward than Højbjerg is. So he's probably covering more distance. You could say maybe Bentancur is probably the one that is maybe a bit more tired than the others. Romero didn't end up playing at all. So I think the only thing he should be tired from is maybe a bit of jet lag and, you know, maybe just having a bit too much, you know, food, you know, over at the parents' house or something like that while he was visiting. So I think, you know, he should be fine. And then I forget which other players maybe you mentioned. Ben Davies, you know, he did have some tough games. You could say, you know, Wales had really crucial games to play in that were, you know, dependent on them going to the World Cup. That could maybe pull me behind. But to be honest, Dave, the only players maybe that I could see being especially tired, I would probably say Bentancur, maybe Davies, you know, for this one.
Interesting. Shawnee, yourself, my man?
Can you remind me of the question?
Yeah, sorry. You know, do you think there's going to be any changes to the lineup today after the international break, and maybe after some of the players playing as late as Thursday morning? And do you think there'll be a tiredness today?
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess that the South American players that played Thursday morning, is that Wednesday night their time? Is that what are we thinking about? It's Thursday morning our time.
Thursday morning our time.
Yeah. Well, look, I definitely think we have we benefit from having the extra day. You know, I'm sure some of the players that played yesterday were also involved in some of those games that were Wednesday night around the world. So, look, I mean, trust me, coming from someone that spent 3 years in New York, flying to different states every other day for my work, like it's exhausting. Like sleeping in hotels that are not your own bed, and just long haul flights generally are just it wipes you out. So, it is going to be something. It's another factor. I don't know how many of our team would have been playing that late. When was the last time that like Harry Kane? Was it Wednesday night? No, when was the game with the England game?
He came on actually at one stage. Yeah. Like he played. Was
that Wednesday or was that Tuesday? What day was that? Or was it Saturday or Sunday?
But do you feel like, Sean, like those games? I'm not really worried about those games because I feel like they're very low consequence. So are they really like? That's probably good for their health, actually, being able to continue to play, but it's not really a full sort of effort. Where the ones that I feel like you really would see the impact are the ones where like there actually were important international games, like Wales, for example. And I think Uruguay as well. Like, I'm not sure they automatically were qualified yet.
Yeah.
So I think they had to win some games, which means Bentancur, I could be wrong about that, but that means Bentancur had to play in serious games. To an extent, Højbjerg did too. I think Denmark weren't there in yet. Maybe they had some important games.
I think also
that's what I'm worried about. Players that still had important games to play.
Yeah, there's going to be a level of exhaustion or tiredness from the long distance travel. There's definitely going to be some hangover from the games that they played, especially those players, to your point, that had things that were important and competitive. But I also think just the other reality is the lack of preparation time. Like how much time have Tottenham and Conte and the coaches had to sit together and work on specific ways to handle Chris Wood flick downs or Saint Maximin? Like, how much time have they got to review tape, let alone get out there and do drills around corner kick set pieces and who's marking who? That's the kind of unknowns and the variables that I do worry about today. And like I say, I think man for man, Tottenham are a far better team than Newcastle. We'll wait and see what happens with the whole Doherty and Reguillon thing. But regardless of any of that, it's definitely a tough game today. And Newcastle haven't had anything like the disruption from internationals like Tottenham have. And so, it's going to be interesting to see how Newcastle set up and how Tottenham handle it, because I don't think we've had very much time to prep for it, And this is going back to the stat that we always used to talk about before the form started to improve, which was the amount of times between games. When we had, more than 5 games between games, we always won, and when we had less than 3 or whatever it was, then we always struggled. Well, Tottenham might have had more than 5 days between the games, but we haven't had the players together to prep. So this essentially would look like a 2-day preparation window at best, with tired players that have traveled long distance. So I think it's going to be a really interesting and potentially difficult game this afternoon. But I can't wait for it.
I was just forgetting about them stats, Shawnee. And you had to bring them back to life for me, bring me back down to reality. So
you got to factor it in, right? I just want to. I've seen a lot of people saying we're going to win 4-0. I'd love it if that's the case, but I personally think today's going to be a really, really tough game, and trying to lay out the reasons why I think that.
No, spot on. And guys, I'm going to ask you this last question. I do have a lot more, but we're not going to get to them today, as I do have to head over to We Are Tottenham TV. But I'm going to ask you this last question. I'm just running to the Jacks. I'll be back in 1 second. But and look, we'll stick with Shawnee and then hand it back to Jack. We have kept 3 clean sheets in our last 5 league games, and the back line looks like it has some cohesion about it. Is this because of the stability and the same back line being picked every week? And is the improvement in the back line down to one man, Christian Romero? So take it away, Shawnee.
I definitely think that the back 3 playing together is super important. Look, Christian Romero is a future world-class player. I know we were speaking yesterday about whether he's fully world-class yet. I don't think he necessarily is quite yet. Hi, Bobby. But I do think he's classy. I think that Eric Dyer coming back and playing alongside Romero
we saw an impact there.
Yeah, massive impact. I've mentioned it a million times on your channels, Jack, in the past. I do think the ability for him to communicate in multiple languages to players that don't speak English is something which is underrated in its importance. And I think that Ben Davies has been a quiet, go about his business type of player as well. I think he did really well in recent games, snuffing out their teams that were attacking down the right-hand side and just heading the ball clear at the near post. I think that it's not just about Romero. I think Romero breeds confidence. He's very gifted at his timing of tackles on the floor. I do worry about our entire defense aerially. I don't think any of them are particularly great. But yeah, the consistency for me, Jack, is of having the same back three is key. I don't know how much of an impact Doherty and Reguillon, Doherty and Sessegnon is part of that back three. It's obviously massively important, but do
you think Romero and Dyer actually sort of need each other in that way?
Yeah.
Because maybe what we saw is when Romero was by himself, the defense was better, but it wasn't perfect. And then when Dyer was without Romero, the defense was better, but it still had its issues. So do you feel like they actually need each other maybe more than we probably realized?
Yeah, no, I think that the two of them are key. I mean, we haven't seen Ben Davies been injured all the way back. The last time we saw Ben Davies not play, he's been super consistent. I think he goes under the radar. I think he's a solid player, and he can drift forward as well. But I think that the last time we had a real problem at the left side was when Sanchez was playing Bambi on ice. Back in the days of the Europa Conference League, and since then, when you had Emerson Royale that had Sanchez next to him, there was massive leaks down the right-hand side. But as soon as Romero came back in and played, when Romero came in and played in the center because Dyer was out, we were still leaky. We were better, but we were still leaky. But then as soon as Dyer and Romero came back as a solid two and then had Ben Davies next to it, we've been far, far better, conceded far less. And all we got to do for me in the summer, not to get off the point, but if we can just get a better Ben Davies, who happens to be a monster in the air as well, I think then we are going to be a force to be reckoned with defensively, because if we can fix the aerial issues, then when you've got people like Romero who can do what they do on the floor, then many teams are going to struggle to break us down.
Spot on. Look, guys, I do apologize. I know we're having fun. I was actually really enjoying this today, having a good conversation with the boys. But like all good things, they do have to come to an end at some stage. And people, if you do want to see more pre-match build-up, just follow me over to We Are Tottenham TV, kicking off at 3 o'clock. But look, we want to find out where we can find the boys, because they brought out some great points today. No doubt you want to subscribe to their channels. So we'll start with Shawnee. Shawnee, where can people find you, my man?
Guys, you can find me at Spurs Talk Show, at Spurs Talk Show on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, all one word, hashtag never any spaces. Because if you put spaces in, you find other types of Spurs content. Sometimes it's San Antonio Spurs, and we don't want that. So Spurs Talk Show, all one word. You can find me there, and you can find me here. And you can also find me on a few other channels that I whore myself out to whenever they're going live. But yeah, Spurs Talk Show is my home. I'm on the march towards 800. The growth has been insane, and I'm very appreciative to these two guys for letting me come on their channel and talk to you, and you guys in the comments who have shown a load of support to me as well. Spurs Talk Show, where you can find me. Thank you all. And
everybody get over there and check it out and get your support behind Shawnee. He comes on every time he's asked without a problem, to come here and give his expert opinions to the Harrison, the Irish Hotspur Army and the Flatcap Army. So guys, why not get over there and show him the love in return? But Jacko, where can people find you, my man?
Second channel, everybody, the flatcapeurotalk. I'm just going to recommend lots of videos I think a lot of people haven't seen, but the one that I would say could not be more relevant in this moment in time is definitely the Frank Lampard video. I basically break down a bunch of his quotes after the Crystal Palace, knockout in the cup, sort of psychoanalyzed him, almost kind of Freudian sort of way, where I basically just got to the ethos of Frank Lampard, and I kind of made the conclusion that he's not really a very nice guy, and I kind of don't think he's really suited to be a top flight manager. So if you kind of are in that sort of boat as well, let me know what you think of that video. It's nice and short, like 5 minutes long, basically. Me just breaking down some pretty immature Frank Lampard quotes. So let me know what you guys think.
I haven't seen that one yet.
That'd be a good one. I'll definitely be watching that to have a laugh at Fat Frank for sure. So everybody do get over there and check out the flatcapeurotalk. The stuff that Jack does over here to help this channel run is incredible. Go on, Johnny.
Just wanted to say to Catman Jess, because I see him make a couple of posts about Bugsy, and I think a little bit earlier on he said about putting some money in for the Flat Cap fund to replace. This is my last hat that you see. I've got a few of them. I found this one in the outside. Bugsy has had her way with both sides of it right now, so I'm down to my last new Flat Cap. And big up the Bugsy Malone. That's what
you're
I
gonna
want
have to put it
Cheers,
like
Cat
where
Mansions.
like you keep like you're gonna have to put it in a safe or something. You'd have to.
No, but I kind of like it. I kind of like the fact that she's after them. She knows she loves socks and she loves flat caps.
She's trying to smell them out. Yeah, I love it.
I love it. Well, look, guys, I'm sorry to bring an end to it. I know some people have a tear in their eye. But look, we are going to end off, guys. But do not worry. Make sure everybody gets back here for the watch-along starting at 4:15, where it be myself, Jack, and Johnny. Look, if you think we're good at these discussions and you think we have valid stuff to say, well, we're even more entertaining during the watch-along. So make sure you come and check it out. Everybody, a massive thank you for tuning in. A massive, massive thank you to everybody who has helped support the channel financially today as well. It really does mean a lot. Everything we do here really does depend on it. So thank you, everybody. And everybody who has smashed that like button as well and that subscribe button. Like I said, we'll all see you back here at 4:15. If you want more of me, you can follow me over to We Are Talking TV, starting at 3 p.m. But as always, guys, come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust. Let's get the red wine shoe out for the Magpie. Come on,
Come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust.
Come on.
Let's go.
Everywhere we go.